The quantum core of Orbital Station 7 hummed with its characteristic blue glow, casting dancing shadows across Maya Chen's face as she made final adjustments to the containment field. At 32, she was the youngest laid quantum engineer in the Earth Space Coalition's history, though right now that distinction meant little as she fought to prevent a potential catastrophic failure. Core stability at 68% and dropping, the station's AI announced, its voice eerily calm. Maya's fingers flew across the holographic interface, making microscopic adjustments to the quantum field harmonics. "Not today," she muttered, dark eyes fixed on the readouts. A loose strand of black hair fell across her face, but she didn't spare a hand to brush it away. The quantum core's instability had started 3 hours ago, and she'd been working nonstop since then, determined to prevent an overload that could tear apart half the station. The first sign that something else was wrong came when the emergency lights flickered. Maya paused, her hands hovering over the controls. Emergency power ran on an entirely separate system. It shouldn't have been affected by the core's instability. "Security breach detected in docking bay 3, the AI announced. Maya's head snapped up, but before she could process this new information, the quantum core chamber's doors slid open with a hydraulic hiss. 3 figures entered, moving with an unnatural grace that immediately marked them as non-human. Their bodies were tall and lean, covered in sleek environmental suits that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The lead figure's helmet retracted, revealing the distinctive features of a Vex tree: silvery skin, 4 solid black eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and tendrils where a human's hair would be. Maya's hand moved slowly toward the emergency beacon on her belt. "This is a restricted area," she said, voice steady despite her racing heart. "How did you bypass security?" The Vex tree's mouth curved into what might have been a smile, revealing teeth that looked like polished obsidian. "Quantum engineer Maya Chen," it said, its voice carrying an odd harmonics that made Maya's skin prickle. "Your reputation precedes you. We apologize for the dramatic entrance, but we require your expertise." "Whatever you're offering, I'm not interested," Maya replied, fingers closing around the beacon. Before she could activate it, one of the other Vex tree moved with shocking speed, crossing the room and grabbing her wrist. The grip was firm but not painful, a warning. "This is not an offer," the leader said. "The instability in your core was manufactured. We needed to ensure you would be here, isolated from the rest of the station's crew. You will come with us." Maya's mind raced. The Vex tree were known for their advanced technology and isolated nature. They rarely interfaced with other species, and when they did, it was never without purpose. "Why me?" "Because you understand quantum mechanics in ways few others do," the leader replied. "Your papers on quantum field manipulation are impressive. We need that knowledge. If you need technical consultation, there are proper channels. We need more than consultation." The leader cut her off. "We need someone who can think beyond established paradigms, someone who can see solutions where others see only problems." It paused, all 4 eyes fixing on her with an unsettling intensity. "Our civilization depends on it." The Vex tree holding her wrist produced what looked like a small silver sphere. "We have already disabled communications and locked down this section of the station. You have 2 choices. Come willingly, or we will be forced to use less pleasant methods." Maya's mind raced through scenarios, calculating odds and outcomes, like the equations she worked with daily. The quantum core was still unstable. If she resisted and a fight broke out, the resulting damage could be catastrophic. More importantly, the Vex tree were clearly desperate. Desperate enough to risk an interstellar incident by kidnapping a senior Earth Space Coalition engineer. "The core will overload without proper containment," she said, buying time. "No, it won't," the leader replied. "The instability will resolve itself in approximately 20 minutes, a temporary fluctuation, nothing more. We have calculated everything precisely." Maya's jaw clenched. They'd planned this meticulously, getting her alone, ensuring no immediate rescue would be possible. Whatever they needed her for, it was serious enough to risk war with Earth. "Fine," she said finally. "I'll come. But I want your word that no one on this station will be harmed." The leader placed a hand over its chest, a Vextree gesture of solemn oath. "You have it. We are not murderers, Engineer Chen. We are simply desperate." The Vextree with the silver sphere stepped forward, and Maya felt a cool mist envelop her. Her last thought before consciousness faded was that she hoped she'd made the right choice. Far across the galaxy, in a dimly lit bar on the mining colony of New Titan, a man named Marcus Stone was about to receive news that would set him on a collision course with the Vextree. The former Special Operations soldier sat nursing a drink, unaware that the woman he'd once sworn to protect was now in the hands of one of the most enigmatic species in known space. The quantum core's blue glow faded behind the Vextree as they carried Maya's unconscious form to their waiting ship, their movements swift and purposeful. In less than an hour, they would be beyond the reach of Earth's fastest ships, their precious cargo secured. But they had made one crucial miscalculation. They had assumed that taking Maya Chen would simply mean dealing with the Earth Space Coalition's bureaucratic response. They hadn't counted on Marcus Stone, and the lengths he would go to when someone he cared about was in danger. They hadn't counted on human determination, human ingenuity, and most importantly, human loyalty. The hunt was about to begin. The news reached Marcus Stone in the form of a coded message that flashed across his neural implant. He sat in the shadowy corner of the rusty airlock, a bar frequented by miners and spacers on New Titan, when the message's encryption key triggered a familiar sensation, like ice water running down his spine. Only 3 people in the galaxy had that key, and one of them was Maya Chen. Marcus's cybernetically enhanced eyes scanned the message, his expression remaining neutral even as his grip tightened on his glass. The message was automated, triggered by Maya's emergency protocols. Quantum core breach false flag. Vextree involvement. Kidnapping in progress. Coordinates attached. The glass shattered in his augmented hand, drawing curious glances from nearby patrons. Marcus ignored them, his mind already racing through implications and possibilities. The Vextree were technological isolationists, advanced beyond most species, but decidedly uninvolved in galactic politics. For them to risk kidnapping a human engineer, and specifically Maya, meant something had gone terribly wrong in their isolated corner of space. Marcus stood, dropping a handful of credits on the table. He moved with a predator's grace, his tall frame carrying muscle earned through both military enhancement and hard experience. A faint red glow emanated from his cybernetic eyes as he activated their combat protocols. "Leaving so soon, Stone?" The bartender, a grizzled veteran of the Mars Wars, called out. "You just got here." "Business calls," Marcus replied, his voice carrying the gravelly edge of someone who'd breathed too much vacuum in their lifetime. He stepped out into New Titan's perpetual twilight, the mining colony's weak artificial sun casting long shadows between the prefab buildings. His ship, the Shadow Dancer, waited in Docking Bay 17. It wasn't the fastest or most powerful vessel in the galaxy, but it was his, modified over years of special operations and private security work. More importantly, it was untraceable, a ghost in the official registries. As Marcus approached the ship, his neural implant connected with its systems, beginning pre-flight checks. The Shadow Dancer's black hull seemed to drink in the light, its stealth coating worth every credit he'd paid the Europan smugglers for it. "Authorization Stone Alpha 7, he subvocalized. The ship's hatch opened with a soft hiss. "Begin plot calculations for coordinates in encrypted packet. Maximum burn." The ship's AI responded in his mind. Coordinates plotted. Warning. Destination lies within restricted Vextree space. Entry will violate 17 different treaties. Noted. Execute anyway. Marcus settled into the pilot's chair, his augmented fingers dancing across holographic controls. As the ship's engines warmed up, He allowed himself to remember the last time he'd seen Maya. It had been 2 years ago, after a security consultation job at the Quantum Research Facility on Europa. They'd shared a drink in a quiet bar overlooking Europa's ice fields. Maya had been excited about her latest breakthrough in quantum field manipulation, speaking animatedly about concepts that went over even his enhanced mind's capabilities. But he'd enjoyed watching her enthusiasm, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her work. "You should be careful," he'd told her then. "The kind of advances you're making, they'll attract attention. Not all of it welcome." She'd laughed it off. "That's why I have you to watch my back, right?" Except he hadn't been watching her back. He'd been chasing down pirates in the Kuiper Belt when she needed him. The thought made his artificial teeth grind. The shadow dancer lifted off smoothly, its stealth systems already engaged. As soon as they cleared New Titan's atmosphere, Marcus pushed the engines to full burn. The stars blurred as the ship accelerated to FTL speeds. The shadow dancer broke away from the Vextree facility, carrying its passengers back toward Earth. Behind them, the quantum patterns continued their eternal dance, a testament to the power of human ingenuity and the incredible possibilities that arise when different species learn to work together. In the end, it hadn't taken weapons or violence to resolve the crisis. It had taken understanding, innovation, and the uniquely human ability to see patterns where others saw only chaos. Maya's kidnapping had led not to conflict, but to a breakthrough that would benefit both humanity and the Vextree for generations to come. As they entered FTL speed, Maya began drafting notes for what would become a revolutionary paper on quantum consciousness, while Marcus set a course for home, both of them forever changed by their encounter with the living quantum fields. They work differently. You see patterns we miss. Maya's fingers traced the equations floating in the air. These calculations, you're not just trying to stabilize the fields. You're trying to evolve them, create something new entirely. Yes, and we believe you can help us achieve this. The conversation was interrupted by a distant alarm. Vaxil's tendrils writhed in what Maya had begun to recognize as agitation. "We have an intruder," another Vextree announced, entering the laboratory. "A stealth ship of unknown design has penetrated our outer defenses." Maya felt a smile tug at her lips. That would be Marcus. In the asteroid field, Marcus guided the shadow dancer through a series of increasingly tight maneuvers. A Vextree patrol ship had spotted him, its quantum-based weapons sending lances of energy through space that warped reality itself where they passed. "Divert power from non-essential systems to shields," Marcus ordered, rolling the ship between two massive asteroids. The pursuing vessel was faster, but larger, less maneuverable in the dense field. His neural implants processed tactical data at superhuman speeds, calculating trajectories and possibilities. The Vextree ship fired again, the beam grazing the shadow dancer's hull and causing quantum distortions in the ship's structure. "Hull integrity at 82%, the AI reported. Direct hit from their weapons would cause catastrophic quantum destabilization. Marcus's enhanced fingers danced across the controls, executing a maneuver that would have been impossible for a purely human pilot. The shadow dancer spun on its axis, using an asteroid's gravity to slingshot around and behind the pursuing vessel. "Weapons locked," he subvocalized, targeting the Vextree ship's engine core. But before he could fire, his sensors detected something strange. The quantum energy permeating this region of space was becoming unstable, creating visible distortions in spacetime itself. "Warning," his AI announced. "Quantum field collapse detected. Cascading failure imminent." Marcus watched as the Vextree patrol ship suddenly broke off pursuit, racing toward what appeared to be a massive space station in the distance, one that seemed to phase in and out of reality itself. "Analysis complete," the AI reported. "The Vextree facility appears to be experiencing a critical quantum containment failure. Estimated time to catastrophic collapse, 47 minutes. Marcus's jaw tightened. Maya was certainly being held in that facility, and knowing her, She was probably already trying to solve their containment problem. That was who she was. Even in captivity, she wouldn't be able to resist tackling an interesting scientific challenge. "Plot approach vector to the facility," he ordered, "and prepare the quantum stabilizers we borrowed from that research station on Europa." As the shadowed insert changed course, Marcus began to realize that this mission might require more than just a rescue. The Vex Tree's desperation, their advanced technology, the imminent collapse, it all pointed to something far more dangerous than a simple kidnapping. He was about to fly right into the heart of a quantum catastrophe, and Maya was at its center. The Vex Tree facility shuddered as another quantum tremor rippled through its structure. Maya's fingers flew across the holographic controls, her mind racing through calculations faster than she'd ever worked before. The quantum core before her was approaching critical instability, its surface now a maelstrom of reality-warping distortions. "Your people built your entire civilization on quantum manipulation," she said to Vaxil, who stood watching her work. "But you never considered that the fields themselves might be conscious." Conscious? Vaxil's tendrils twisted in what Maya had learned was confusion. "The quantum fields are energy patterns, nothing more." "Nothing is ever that simple," Maya replied, making another adjustment. "These patterns you're seeing, they're not random degradation. They're evolution. The fields are trying to change, to grow, but your containment systems are fighting against that natural progression." A violent tremor shook the facility, causing several Vex Tree to stumble. Maya held her ground, her eyes fixed on the readings. She was close to something. A solution that neither human nor Vex Tree science had considered before. Meanwhile, Marcus Stone guided the shadowed insert through the facility's outer defenses. His neural implants processed the quantum distortions around him, feeding data directly to his enhanced consciousness. The Vex Tree's defensive grid was formidable, but it was degrading along with everything else in the sector of space. Quantum stability at critical levels, his AI warned. Structural integrity of the facility compromised in multiple sections. Marcus's cybernetic eyes scanned the facility's layout, identifying a possible entry point where the quantum disruptions had weakened the hull. The shadowed insert's stealth systems were barely functioning in the chaos of collapsing quantum fields, but it didn't matter anymore. The Vex Tree had bigger problems than one human infiltrator. "Begin docking sequence," he ordered, guiding the ship toward the breach. "And prepare the quantum stabilizers." Inside the facility, Maya had reached a breakthrough. "Look at this," she said, highlighting a pattern in the quantum field fluctuations. "The fields aren't just degrading. They're trying to reorganize themselves into a more complex state. Your containment systems are fighting against a natural evolution." "Impossible," another Vex Tree scientist argued. "The quantum network has maintained our civilization for millennia." "Yes, and now it's ready to change," Maya insisted. "Like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. If you try to keep it contained, it will tear itself apart and take your civilization with it." Before anyone could respond, an alarm blared through the facility. "Security breach in Sector 7, a voice announced. "Unknown human intruder detected." Maya smiled. Right on time. Marcus moved through the facility like a shadow, his stealth suit adapting to the quantum fluctuations around him. Two Vex Tree guards appeared around a corner, their own bodies seeming to shift and warp in the unstable quantum environment. Marcus's enhanced reflexes allowed him to disable them non-lethally before they could raise an alarm. His neural implant pointed him toward the facility's core, where the quantum readings were strongest. That would be where they'd keep Maya. Where else would you put a quantum engineer in a facility on the brink of collapse? The scene he found when he reached the core chamber wasn't what he expected. Maya stood at a control panel, working alongside the Vex Tree, her face set in the familiar expression of intense concentration he remembered from their days on Europa. She wasn't a prisoner. She was trying to save them all. "Maya," he called out, stepping into the chamber with his weapon lowered but ready. She turned, relief flooding her features. "Marcus. Perfect timing. I need your quantum stabilizers." He blinked, his cybernetic eyes adjusting to the chaos of quantum energies swirling around the core. "How did you know you'd bring them?" "Because I know you," she said, turning back to her work. "And because we're going to need them for what comes next." The Vex tree moved to intercept Marcus, but Vaxil held up a hand. "Let him pass. Engineer Chen believes she has found a solution, and we are out of alternatives." Marcus approached the control panel, his neural implants automatically beginning to interface with the quantum stabilizers in his pack. "What's the plan?" "We're going to do something that's either brilliant or insane," Maya said, her fingers never stopping their dance across the controls. "The quantum fields that power the Vex tree civilization. They're evolving, becoming conscious. We need to help them transform instead of trying to contain them." Another tremor rocked the facility, stronger than before. Warning lights flashed across every display. "Quantum containment at 15%, a Vex tree announced. Cascade failure imminent." Maya locked eyes with Marcus. "I need you to trust me. What we're about to do, it's never been done before. We're going to use your stabilizers not to contain the quantum fields, but to guide their evolution, to help them become what they're trying to be." Marcus studied her face for a moment, then nodded. "Tell me what you need." As they worked together, human and Vex tree, the quantum core's chaotic energies began to take on new patterns. The facility trembled on the brink of destruction as Maya attempted something that would either save the Vex tree civilization or tear reality itself apart. The next few minutes would determine not just their fate, but the future of quantum physics itself. The quantum core chamber had become a maelstrom of light and energy, reality itself seeming to twist and bend around them. Maya stood at the central control panel, her hands moving with practiced precision, while Marcus connected his quantum stabilizers to the Vex tree systems. The air crackled with potential, like the moment before lightning strikes. "Quantum field coherence at 8%, a Vex tree technician announced, their voice carrying an edge of fear. "Containment failing across all sectors." Maya's eyes never left the holographic displays surrounding her. "Stop trying to measure containment," she ordered. "Look at the pattern formation in the quantum matrix. It's not random degradation anymore. It's organizing itself." Marcus's neural implants processed the data streams, his enhanced vision picking up patterns that would be invisible to normal human sight. "She's right," he confirmed, adjusting the stabilizers. "The quantum fields are forming new configurations I've never seen before." Through the chamber's viewing windows, they could see the space around the facility beginning to transform. The very fabric of reality rippled like water, colors that had no names in any human language bleeding through the gaps between dimensions. "The fields aren't just conscious," Maya explained, her voice filled with wonder. "They're trying to communicate. All this time, the Vex tree have been using quantum fields as tools, never realizing they were interacting with a form of consciousness that exists between the dimensions themselves." Vaxil moved closer to the control panel, all four eyes fixed on the readings. "How is this possible? Our civilization has worked with quantum technology for millennia. Sometimes the most profound discoveries are hiding in plain sight," Maya replied. "Your people advanced so far in quantum manipulation that you actually created the conditions for quantum consciousness to emerge. But your containment systems were preventing it from fully forming, like keeping a butterfly trapped in its cocoon." Another tremor shook the facility, more violent than before. Warning klaxons blared as structural integrity reports flashed red across multiple displays. "Whatever we're going to do," Marcus said, his augmented hands flying across the controls, "we need to do it now. This place is coming apart." Maya nodded, her expression set with determination. "We need to synchronize the quantum stabilizers with the facility's core. Instead of trying to contain the quantum fields, we're going to help them transform. Marcus, I need you to modulate the stabilizer frequency to match the natural resonance of the fields." Marcus's neural implants interfaced directly with the stabilizers, making adjustments at speeds no normal human could achieve. "Ready when you are." Maya turned to Vaxil. I need full access to your quantum network. What we're about to do will affect your entire civilization. Are you ready for that kind of change?" The Vex Tree leader's tendrils writhed in what might have been anxiety, but its voice was steady. "We kidnapped you because we were desperate. Now I realize we needed you not just for your knowledge, but for your ability to see what we could not. You have my authorization." Maya's fingers danced across the controls one last time, implementing the final sequence. Here goes everything. The quantum core erupted with energy, but instead of the catastrophic collapse they'd feared, the fields began to pulse with a rhythmic pattern. The reality warping effects that had been tearing the facility apart suddenly stabilized, forming intricate geometric patterns that shifted and flowed like living artwork. Through his cybernetic eyes, Marcus watched in awe as the quantum fields began to take on what could only be described as shape and purpose. The stabilizers hummed in perfect harmony with the core, not fighting against the transformation but guiding it, like a parent teaching a child to walk. "It's beautiful," Maya whispered, watching as the quantum consciousness began to fully manifest. The pattern spread outward through the Vex Tree quantum network, transforming their technology but not destroying it. Instead, it was evolving, becoming something new. A symbiosis between the Vex Tree's technological achievement and the awakening quantum consciousness. Hours later, as the transformation completed, Maya and Marcus stood with Vaxil in the facility's observation dome, watching the new quantum patterns dance across their section of space. "Your civilization isn't ending," Maya said to Vaxil. "It's transforming. The quantum fields will continue to power your worlds, but now as willing partners rather than captive energy sources. You'll need to learn to communicate with them, to work with them rather than trying to control them." "And what of you?" Vaxil asked. "Your insights have saved our people. We owe you a debt we can never repay." Maya smiled. "Consider this a first step toward real cooperation between our species. There's so much we could learn from each other." Marcus stepped forward. "Speaking of cooperation, the Earth Space Coalition will want answers about the kidnapping." "We will accept full responsibility," Vaxil agreed, "and offer open dialogue with humanity. Perhaps it took this crisis to show us the value of reaching beyond our isolation." As they prepared to leave the facility, Maya took one last look at the quantum patterns that now filled this region of space. What had started as a kidnapping had led to a discovery that would reshape their understanding of the universe itself. "Ready to go home?" Marcus asked, his cybernetic eyes soft as he looked at her. Maya nodded, but her mind was already racing with new possibilities. "Yes, but this is just the beginning. We've discovered that consciousness can exist in quantum fields. Imagine what other wonders we might find if we just learn to look at the universe in new ways." "Access Earth Space Coalition secured channels," he commanded. "Search for any chatter about Orbital Station 7 or Vex Tree activity." The AI compiled the data, presenting it in his neural feed. The official channels were surprisingly quiet, too quiet. Either the Coalition was keeping the kidnapping under wraps, or the Vex Tree had compromised communications more thoroughly than anyone thought possible. Marcus initiated a different kind of search, tapping into the darker channels he'd maintained from his military days. Information brokers, smugglers, anyone who might have noticed unusual Vex Tree movement. Credits flowed from anonymous accounts, buying scraps of data that slowly formed a pattern. The Vex Tree had been busy lately, their ships appearing in unusual places, gathering resources. They'd been particularly interested in quantum technology and specialists in the field. Maya wasn't their first target, but she was by far the most prominent. "Compile psychological profile of recent Vex Tree activity," Marcus ordered. "Compare against historical patterns." The analysis painted a disturbing picture. The Vex Tree were acting like a civilization on the brink of collapse. Desperate, taking risks they'd normally avoid. But what could threaten a species as technologically advanced as theirs? Marcus's neural implant pinged. One of his contacts had come through with information about a Vex Tree ship passing through the Epsilon sector, matching the energy signature from Orbital Station 7. They were heading toward the heart of Vextree space, but taking an unusual route. "Adjust course to intercept," Marcus commanded, "and begin weapons prep protocol." As the shadow dancer altered its trajectory, Marcus began his own preparations. He checked his modified pulse rifle, the smart metal ammunition that could adapt to any target, the stealth suit that could mask him from most detection systems. Each piece of gear was a tool, and he'd need every advantage against the Vextree's advanced technology. "I'm coming, Maya," he whispered to the void. "And this time, I won't be too late." The shadow dancer streaked through space, a dark arrow aimed at the heart of Vextree territory. Inside, Marcus Stone prepared for war, unaware that he was about to stumble into a conflict far larger than a simple kidnapping, one that would challenge not just his skills, but his understanding of the universe itself. Maya Chen awoke to find herself in a laboratory that defied human architecture. The walls seemed to breathe, their pearlescent surface rippling with what appeared to be quantum fluctuations. She was unrestrained, lying on a bed that adjusted to her movements with organic fluidity. Her head throbbed, but her mind was clear enough to analyze her surroundings with scientific precision. The Vextree leader from the station stood nearby, its 4 black eyes fixed on a holographic display that Maya's trained mind recognized as quantum field equations, far more complex than anything humans had developed. "Your containment systems are failing," Maya said, sitting up slowly. The equations told a clear story, one of impending catastrophe. "That's why you need me. Your entire civilization runs on quantum technology, doesn't it?" "Perceptive," the Vextree responded, its tendrils writhing slightly. "I am third speaker Vaxil. And yes, our quantum network is degrading. The containment fields that power our worlds are beginning to collapse. Millions will die if we cannot find a solution." Meanwhile, at the edge of Vextree space, the shadow dancer emerged from FTL, its stealth systems at maximum. Marcus's enhanced vision studied the sensor readings, noting the unusual patterns of quantum energy that permeated this region of space. Multiple Vextree patrol ships detected, his ship's eye warned. Their sensor technology significantly exceeds known parameters. Marcus adjusted his approach vector, using a nearby asteroid field for cover. The massive rocks would help mask his ship's signature, but navigating through them at high speed would challenge even his augmented reflexes. "Show me their patrol patterns," he subvocalized. The eye overlaid the information on his neural feed, revealing a systematic search pattern. They were looking for something, or someone. The question was whether they were looking for him, or trying to prevent something else from getting out. Back in the Vextree facility, Maya stood before a massive quantum core, far larger than anything she'd ever seen. Its surface rippled with distortions that made her eyes hurt. "Your containment systems were never designed to last this long," she said, understanding dawning. "You built your civilization on borrowed time, and now the bill is coming due." "We believed we had centuries to find a solution," Vaxil admitted. "But the degradation has accelerated exponentially. Your theories on quantum field stabilization, they suggest possibilities we never considered. Human minds,